Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Amplify Your Business. And today we're going to talk about how you can move your business online. And we're going to be speaking to somebody who's actually done it. And she's done it, or she started it actually before this COVID crisis hit. And now she is fully primed and ready to really push hard to expand that online business. So without further ado, I want to bring on to the show Karla Loeppky from Your Body, Your Way, so we can talk about shifting your business online, generating new leads, and just some of the strategies that she's employed. So Karla, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks a lot for coming by this virtual episode today. I'd like to hear a little bit about your business. Why don't you give us a little background as to where you started and I guess how that transition occurred then after that. So give us your backstory.
Growing up, I was always in sports, I guess, as we do with our kids, we put them in sports. And so I grew up in sports, and then you leave home, you graduate, leave home, you stop eating all the healthy foods, you stop doing all the sports and the activities. And then suddenly you find that university or the after school weight gain, that's what really kickstarted everything for me. So I eventually had put on a bunch of weight, and I was about 198 to 200 pounds. I was working in a corporate office, so doing that Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 job. And then I decided to find my passion within fitness. And the first way was with running. And then I got into running and learning cross training and the strengths that it can bring your running when you cross train. So with that passion, I started taking all the courses I could find online and at colleges and universities and became a certified personal trainer. Then it was the big jump, right? So you have to make a decision if this is what you're going to do. Are you going to do it part-time? Are you going to stay in the corporate job? So I decided to take the leap of faith. And I left the corporate job to open up my own personal training studio. So I was living in Saskatchewan at the time. And so I moved to Beaumont, Alberta, and opened up a personal training studio there. So coming from a corporate job, you really have no idea what you're doing. You just kind of go with it. And I always think that sometimes being naive was a blessing to me. And I always felt like if I build it, they will come. And it was great. It was extremely successful for 3.5 years. And then it came time to make a really hard decision. After 3.5 years and you kind of stumble your way through it, there was just not enough to make it sustainable with the business model that it was at the time. And so I had to make a really hard decision to close the doors and claim bankruptcy. Okay. And then from that, I decided, that was really hard to go through. There's a lot of ego involved in that. There's a lot of ego involved with having a storefront location. And I realized in the process that 4 walls don't define what it is I do. And 4 walls don't define who I am and this level of service that I bring. So I decided that this was okay and that there's just a new phase. So I left the studio and I decided to start contracting. So I was contracting out of local rec centers, thinking that would be great because there's child mining available, there's access to the gym, there's just so much within your memberships. But now it was just me, right? So how I was turning away people. I mean, within 3 months, I turned away 15 people because there's one me and there's one 6 p.m. time slot. So what was growth now? I mean, before when you have a storefront, you grow in space, you grow in size, you grow in staff, and that's how you grow. You can always be taking on new people. But when it's just you, what do you do now? Yeah. And that's when I really realized the online platform. How can I impact more people and provide a value of service if there's just one me and 1 hour in that day? And so that's when I created the online training program.
Okay. So why don't we just... Sorry, let's just back up a little bit. I'm curious about the physical space that you had prior to. So you started a studio, you said, in Beaumont. Now, was that like a full-on gym, or what kind of facility was that you had started there?
So it was about 1,000 square feet. Okay. So we were considered a private personal training studio. So we couldn't be an open gym. So that sustainability of having monthly memberships, we didn't have that. We were always just private or semi-private. So our semi-privates were a maximum of 4 to 5 people in a group. Okay. And so you could have that happening, and then you could have a private happening at the same time, but you couldn't have people coming in and using the gym.
Okay. And so when you were doing that, what year did you start that studio? And then what year did you end up closing it?
2015 to 2019, I guess, because that would have been last year.
Okay. So 4 years. And then you decided, okay, this isn't working, having a hard time paying the bills on this. And so then you transitioned to doing one-on-ones then at local gyms. And so your overhead costs shrink substantially, but you're mentioning the only problem that you've got there is that there's only one of you, and so you can only take on one client at a time. There's no way of maximizing or multiplying your time and turning that into more money then.
Correct. And then, the other aspect to think about that is you can't have a wait list. People aren't going to sit on a wait list to wait for you as a personal trainer, because you never know when your client might leave. So if you're training with me, we do have usually all my programming is about a minimum of 3 months commitment. So I know that you're with me for 3 months, but we might continue to train because you might have continuous goals. Now, if I have somebody coming up right behind you saying, I'd like to train at the same time Lance does, I can't guarantee that time slot. So that's the other thing is, you're turning away people, but there's that fear that if you stop tomorrow, I don't have anybody to fill that time slot either. So as a business owner, you never know where the lost revenue is when it's just solely you in that 1 hour.
Yeah, very good point. And so the writing was on the wall. In order to increase your revenue, you needed to be able to maximize the number of people that you could put through a training program in one time slot, essentially. So tell me about how you did that transition then, where you're doing these one-on-one workouts and you're like, you know what, I need to do more. So then did you build out some online courses, and then they're just videos that people will watch and do in their own homes? Or how did the product idea develop, I guess, or what kind of product did you develop?
Yeah, and it was definitely trial and error for sure, because what I
Yeah.
assume people want is really not what people wanted. So yeah, it started out with courses, but it was daily emails. So every day you would get an email, so I work with mindset, nutrition, and exercise. So I work with 3 modalities. And so you get your email, which would have your, mindset and your lifestyle habit that I wanted you to work on that day. And then it would have your workout. And it's like, hey, here's your workout today. And then the next day you get another email. And so, the problems with that is, one, we get too many emails as it is. And then the other problem with it is, as far as workouts, like I don't know your work schedule. So maybe you were traveling, maybe you had to stay late that day. Maybe your kids had a soccer game. So that day actually doesn't work for you to work out. And so people felt like they were getting backlogged in their workouts and they just couldn't get on top of all the emails that were coming. So that
almost
didn't work.
So a bit of a burden almost it becomes, instead of feeling helpful, people are feeling overwhelmed by these emails. And so when you were doing those emails, was it just you were describing the workout, or was it a video or something of you doing the actual workout and the progressions?
So it's a pre-recorded video that I do with my laptop, and then I upload it to my YouTube account as an unlisted link so that the general population can't find it. And it's not a full detail. So it's not like you would plug in the movie or the DVD and start watching it. It's going to be a breakdown. So if there's 5 movements and one of them was a push-up, I'm like, okay, so we're going to do push-ups today. Here's a series of ways of doing push-ups. So if you've got a shoulder injury, you're going to do it this way. If you can't come onto the floor, you're going to do it this way. If you want to increase your strength. So I would give different, 5-ish modifications for the push-up for people to either challenge themselves or to be able to successfully complete it. And then I would go through each move and the design of the workout. And then that way they were able to see the demonstration and then they could do the workout on their own.
Okay. And so you were finding those emails are just a little bit too much of a burden. So how did you shift or evolve in the program after realizing that?
Yeah, so I had a couple of people go through it. And so it's just, the biggest thing is feedback. Your clients will tell you exactly what it is that they want. And like I said, what I assume that they want is really not what they want. And we have to listen to our clients. So in listening to them, I framed it down to one email. So if they had everything on like a Sunday that they could organize their week, so now they get one email, and in the email, it's kind of listed out in blocks. So the top block is your mindset, lifestyle, habit block. You watch the 5-minute video. You'll have a little homework piece at the bottom that'll say, okay, you've watched this video. An example is we do a kitchen assessment. So I've explained in the video what a kitchen assessment is, the means behind it, and then I give you the attachment. And it says, make sure this is completed by the end of the week and sent to me by Friday. Then the next part of the email is, here's your workouts for the week. You design what day you're doing what. And so again, all the video links are there, pre-recorded, still the exact same way, but they have it all. So they've got their 4 or their 5 or their 6 workouts for the week, but they get to design what day it works best for them. So if Monday doesn't work, great. They can do it on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. So they're able to design their week and have some control around it.
Okay. And so you mentioned a little bit with like the kitchen assessment. So you have a built-in feedback mechanism or accountability mechanism there where they have to get you something. They have to complete something for you in that sense. Is it the same with the workouts too? How do you keep them accountable to doing those workouts for that week?
Yeah, so we do a group phone call on Thursday nights. So Thursday nights we get together, we go through the week. That's where I can also give a live demonstration that if somebody was still struggling with the movement, we'd go through that. And then we talk about the habit for that week. So that week's habit would have been the kitchen assessment. So I go through it in detail. I'll call out people, or it's not call out people, but I might say I'm missing a few kitchen assessments from people. So just make sure you get that emailed to me by Friday. And then I'll reach out usually on Friday to that person privately and just say, hey, Lance, I didn't get your kitchen assessment. Don't forget to get that to me. At the end of the day, we are all adults though. So I'm not going to chase people. I'll ask for it once, and then it's up for them to do the work. Right. So I can't handhold. But then after that, on Saturday, they do get a check-in email. So their check-in email says, hey, Lance, how are you doing? Did you complete all your work for this week? Did you get your lifestyle habit done? And if not, what were your challenges? Did you get your workouts done this week? And if not, what were your challenges? And then how can I support you better to make sure that next week is successful? And so we have that chance to check in, and it's a feedback loop that they can give to me, and then I can reach out to them if they need more support.
Okay, so the beautiful thing about what you're doing then is you now have got the capacity to take on an unlimited number of people, essentially, right? Because you've modeled or you've structured all the templates in such that they're not necessarily personalized to an individual, but they can take whatever, they can modify the movement, whatever that workout is, to fit whatever their limitations might be on a personal level.
Correct. Yeah. And then the workouts progress themselves as well too. So in the beginning, they do start as body weight, and then they progress with showing how to use weights or objects around your home. So again, depending on where the person is, somebody might be ready to move up and somebody might be ready to stay where they're at.
Okay. And so these courses then, I presume it's a monthly fee or weekly fee or something that you're charging them, and that they just keep getting these delivered into their inbox every week, and they have the opportunity to participate in that Facebook group, and then they've got the check-in emails as well.
Correct. Yeah. It's a weekly charge or bi-weekly, whatever works with people's schedules.
Okay. Sounds great. And so in that sense, you had this set up prior to COVID hitting and us all being socially isolated, or is this something that you rolled out since then COVID?
No, this was something I started last year. So again, when I had closed the studio down, it was April 1st of 2019. And by July, I had already turned away 15 people. And that's when I realized, I'm here to support people. And it really devastated me that I was having to say no when these people were really looking for support and wanting to change their health and fitness. So I created the program in August of last year. And again, like I said, I went through the trials and tribulations. And then I would say, December was when I had it more concrete into the weekly aspect, and changed it over to the weekly. And then came into it, and in 2020, I had people already going through it and having a lot of great success, a lot of great feedback. And then now that we're in this isolation of COVID-19, I got to say, people are having a lot more success, because if you think about it, their day-to-day life within their workouts has not changed. So their workout life has not changed, but they don't have the outside influence that we used to have last year. So they don't have the hitting the drive-through on the way home after work because they didn't pack. They don't have the constant invitations out for pizza and beer. And then they don't have the complaint of not having time because they're running from this meeting to that meeting to this kid's thing, or working late after work. So, you know, when we take away those three things now, it's interesting. There's not a lot of struggles with the clients now on that weekly program. So.
Yeah, so that's great. So you have the program all set up, COVID hits, it's like the perfect storm. You were looking into that crystal ball a year ago and somehow figured out that this is what you needed to do. So that's absolutely fantastic. And I think it just brilliant insight on your part, or foresight, I guess, to develop something out. So then we're in this situation in which we also have a much greater need too, because in the past, all these people were heading, or not all these people, but some of the people were heading to the gyms. Now they don't have the option of going to the gym. So they would be looking for your services. So are you marketing yourself now differently, or the program differently than what maybe you were before, if there is any differences at all? Or is it just you're much more, there's much more traffic or much more interest in the service that you have, and so the marketing has stayed the same?
I would say the marketing has stayed the same, but there's just small tweaks within the wording. So
Okay.
I still had in-person clients that I was training at the time, as well as having my online. And it was interesting because I had no problems continuing to sign up in-person clients, but I would struggle with getting the online leads for the online program. They would come in, just not as frequent as the in-person. And so the interesting thing that this all taught me, though, was my communication wasn't changed to online. So when I wrote my blogs, or when I did a Facebook Live and I talked about my story, I left out the little pieces of telling people who or what I did. So they just assumed, as a personal trainer, as everyone does, that I'm at a gym. And so I've changed that language and said, I'm your online, I'm your virtual, I can support you from home. You know, all my videos now are in my home, whereas before I would use pieces of the gym just because that's where most of my time was spent. So that part has shifted. So it's not so much the marketing per se, but it is the communication within the marketing
Yeah,
pieces.
the messaging. Yeah.
As far as getting people in, I have a lead magnet out there. So like a free offer or free gift. It's a 7-day meal plan. And then when people come in on that 7-day meal plan, they get nurtured through a series of emails, and they get other free stuff. So they'll get free workouts. They'll get free links to mindset work. So they kind of get to see pieces of what I do and understand how to put it together, because some people just right off the hop are like, well, what do you mean by mindset? And what exactly are the exercises? So if you come in through the lead magnet, you're already going to see within my 7-day meal plan how I communicate food to my clients. Then a couple days later, you're going to get a free workout that complements the 7-day meal plan. So you get to see exactly what a workout would be like. And then a couple days later, you'll get a mindset piece. So then it's kind of, and the last email then describes, if you're ready to take this to the next level, here's my program. It's 12 weeks. Here's what you get. Book a call. And then there's a link right to my calendar where people can book a quick 30-minute conversation. And then we actually decide at that point if it's a good fit, because we have, it's not just about saying yes and getting on. I want to make sure that I'm a good fit for people and that people are a good fit for the program as well too.
Okay, so for those people who are listening who maybe haven't heard the term lead magnet, a lead magnet is something that you use to try to entice somebody to essentially lose their anonymity. So to provide their name and email address so that you can reach out to them at a later date with a follow-up email sequence. And so the purpose of a lead magnet is to generate a lead, so get their email information. And then the next steps of that, like Karla is doing, is to then have a series of emails in which you're delivering great valuable content to them. So something that has some value. So she starts out with her lead magnet being the more around the diet, so the meal plan. And so somebody, I'd imagine, is that a PDF? Is it that they're downloading, or what is it that what is that lead magnet look like, I guess?
Yeah, it's a PDF.
Okay, so there'd be an ad, say, on Facebook that would be talking about meal planning for weight loss or something. Is that how you frame that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Change your life in 7 days is really just the tagline, and that's all it says. And then free 7-day meal plan.
Okay. And is that a display ad that you have over on Facebook, or is it a video ad, or what are you doing
No,
there?
it's a display ad. It's a picture of my,
Okay.
and so the biggest thing is always a picture of you. People want to know that you're real.
Yes.
So it's a picture of myself in my kitchen, and I
Yeah.
have a bunch of fruit and vegetables around a bowl where I've made a salad that's extremely colorful and bright.
Yeah. So a good point about having yourself on there or some image of a person oftentimes will stop people from scrolling through their feed a little bit faster than say some, a picture of the back of somebody's head or them working out, but they're in the distance and it's more the focus of the gym or whatever. In those cases, you don't get that quite that same connection. And so when we're doing ads in Facebook, we want to have something that would have them curious and stop, just like if it was a friend, right? They're scrolling through their Facebook because they're looking at their friends and family photos and so on. So you want to have it in a way that either is drastically different or very similar, which then they can connect to. And so you've got a great visual image. They click on the link that goes to your website where you're going to have a landing page that has the ability for them to download that. So there'd be some sort of a form there. Is that
Correct?
correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And do you have any other sales language or anything wrapped around that download that's on that landing page in which you're sending the ad traffic to?
Just the details of what they're going to get, usually 3 quick dot points about tips or benefits that they're going to get by downloading that document.
Okay, good. And so you'll hear the term squeeze page or landing page used. And so for those of you who are listening who, again, aren't familiar with those terms, what it is it's a dedicated page, usually on your website, but you can use some third-party software that are specialized just for landing pages. So it doesn't necessarily take them to your website, but it's going to be a stylized and optimized page. But you can do it within your website. And is that what you're doing? You're sending them to your website, or is it to a third-party landing
I
page?
use lead pages.
Yeah.
So I have lead pages, and then depending on, like, so for example, right now I've got an online health summit that I'm doing, and then we do embed that in my website. So then when people are finding me in my website, actually, so is the 7-day meal plan. So at the very bottom of the first page of my website, it's download this free meal plan, and
Yeah.
it just takes you to the lead pages landing page.
Yeah. So Lead Pages is a fantastic tool. ClickFunnels is another one that's really good. They're both relatively inexpensive, and they give you really good templates in which you can, hit the ground running, so to speak, and by just quickly editing some of the text and so on. So those are good if you've got a website that you're just not comfortable doing the editing on. Now, what I typically recommend is that you do drive traffic to your website instead of to third-party landing page software tools. And the reason for that is it helps with your SEO. And so for search engine optimization, it's really important to get as much traffic to your site as possible and have them stay as long as possible. And so when you're using the third-party sites, you're not benefiting from any of that traffic that's generated from the ad traffic that's coming over to your site. And so we typically would recommend that, but definitely don't get hung up on that, because if you are not doing anything at all, that's way worse than sending them to lead pages or something else, because lead pages definitely does work very, very well. And so what you would do then is whatever page that they're on, there's, like Karla said, she's got very limited amount of information there. So it's very focused on what that lead magnet is. So the advantages, the benefits, why would the person download that or submit their information to download that? So you're just reinforcing it. So you would think that they saw the ad, they know what's on the other side of that ad, that they're going to get this, right? But you are putting that gate, the email gate, in front of them from accessing it. So you have to just give them a little extra nudge. And that nudge usually is explaining really the benefit that they're going to get out of downloading that. So one of the things that I love to do, we're a video first marketing company. And so we usually lead with a lot of ads and video ads and then take them to a landing page in which there would be a video explainer there. I find that definitely works better than just a visual because you can communicate so much more through the video. You can really get them to understand what the full benefits are. And so I would recommend where possible is to incorporate some videos on those landing pages. Another great thing that I just absolutely love is using testimonials on those landing pages, because then you're having it explained, or the benefit explained in the words of somebody that they can relate to. And if you can get a video testimonial, even that much better. So ideally, you've got your video kind of at the top that explains, all the great and wonderful benefits they're going to get out of by downloading this and implementing this in their life. And then you've got the download form either beside it or below it, a few bullet points for those people who don't watch the video, who want to just read it real quickly around those key benefits, and then a testimonial, either the text-based one or ideally a video one down below that. And so then that will compel them to enter their information. So now you've got their information, and like Karla said, the next step is to deliver obviously what it is that you promised them, but then don't leave them. You want to have a sequence then of follow-up emails that will nurture them to the point of purchase. And so, Karla, just to recap, you send out a total of 4, I think you said, in that sequence then?
It depends on the sequences. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 7, but in that one, there's 4.
Okay. And what kind of frequency are you using? Is it 1 a day for the next 3 to 4 days? Is it 1 a week? What kind of frequency?
So the first email, they'll get the download. So download the free 7-day meal plan. The next one, they'll get the next day, because a lot of times we don't get our emails right away, or we skipped an email because we get so many. So the next one is like, hey, did you get the meal plan? Not sure if you were able to download it. Here it is again. And then that's when I go, another great thing is, and I get into an explanation of exercise and moving the body. And then I'm like, here, I'd love to give you this free workout that complements that 7-day meal plan. Then I wait 2 days. And then it's like, have you had a chance to try out those workouts? What do you think of the recipes? Give a little more explanation about myself and my backstory. Then I'll wait a day. Then it comes out about the mindset habit on the 4th day, and then wait a day. So it kind of goes 1 day, 2 days, 1 day, 1 day. So it doesn't feel like it's every day.
Yep. Okay. Sounds really good. And so that's a really good sequence. A lot of people get nervous about sending too many emails too quickly. And you got to remember, if you're delivering value to your customer, the frequency isn't going to be a problem. Where we start to feel that we're getting spammed is when we're not getting value from the email. And so if you're sending emails that feel spammy, that don't have value, don't send them, is the key. I mean, it doesn't matter what the frequency is. It's going to be highly likely that those people are going to unsubscribe. And so you really, really want to be careful about that. So frequency, don't get tied up on frequency or hung up on it. I like having a quick cadence like what you've got there. If the lead magnet that you're giving somebody is going to take them some time though to utilize or implement or to read or whatever. So a lot of people will use like ebooks and stuff. And so if it's a really long ebook, or it might be access to a little mini series course as a potential lead magnet. Well, those might take, typically a person to take a couple of days or a week to complete. Well, then that's okay. Leave your next message to them a little bit later. So judge the frequency a little bit on how long it's going to take them to read it or implement whatever it is that you're giving them in that first one. But don't shy away from doing it quickly. Now, when it comes to the second email then that you send them, it sounds like you're sharing with them a workout then, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and so the email is saying, hey, here's a workout. And obviously they can't watch it within their email because you can't embed videos into the email, but are you using a visual? Are you using a thumbnail from the video? Anything visual in that email?
Nothing visual in the email, but the subject line is the key. And so in the subject line, I actually start with capital letters, free gift.
Okay.
Because people like free stuff. And so you want them to open it. That's the most important. And then I make sure to use color. That's what works for me. And I like color. So I'll bold it and I'll bold certain areas that I want them to read, but I use color instead of just black because so many people use black bold. And so at the bottom, that's that whole free. So then it takes them actually to a visual that I've prettied up through Canva of the workout that's listed out of push-ups, squats, jumping jacks. And then it's actually hyperlinked to a video if they need to see. So it says, if you need to see a demo of this, click here. If not, then it's just a visual graphics of a workout. Okay.
Yeah. So one thing that we have found that works really good in terms of improving the click-through rate from the email to then that back to your landing page where they're going to watch that video is to actually include a thumbnail of the video. And so what you'd want to do is just grab a section, a screen grab out of any part within your video that looks somewhat engaging. And it could be a derpy looking pose that you caught right in the middle of a workout or something like that. Those are kind of funny sometimes, and people will actually notice those a little bit more so. Or it could be something that doesn't look derpy at all, right? It's something that is nice and professional. It doesn't really matter too much, but if you can include, again, the same thing with the ads. So something that includes a person's face in it, it's even better. And make sure you get the little play button icon on it. So if you're having, if you're not good at doing any type of, Photoshop design and stuff, you can use free or inexpensive software like Canva or Snappa to just quickly throw that on top of the image. So it looks like a player, right? It looks like a YouTube embedded video. And so when they click on that, then it takes them over to the landing page. And so you have that hyperlinked. So you'd still have the text. You'd still have everything that you're doing there, nice colors, and having a good title or subject line is really important. What we find, the data shows that if you say that there's a video in the subject line as well, then you end up with much higher open rates. And then if you have the video thumbnail in the body of the email, you're going to get much better click-through rates. The kind of the granddaddy or the best that you could get in terms of the visual within an email is to actually create a little animated GIF from a few of the scenes or some of the frames of the video. And so it might be you doing, push-ups, if that's the one that you're doing, will actually show that as you doing up and down a couple push-ups or a boomerang or something like that. And so then you have it as a looping animated GIF as a thumbnail, again, with that little play button on top of the video, and you're going to increase that even that much more because it's now moving, there's something interactive, and people are drawn to it much more, and so they'll click through to the website. And so then obviously on the other side of that is your landing page for it. Now talk to me about that landing page that you're sending people to when they are looking at, they're clicking from the email over to watch that video. What's on that landing page?
If it's part of my nurturing sequence, I don't have a separate landing page. I actually just have them take them straight to the document. So it's like a downloaded PDF document. So yeah, I haven't done the landing page, additional landing page.
So if it's a video like this one here that you were saying in this email, what do they, when they click to watch that video, where are they going to for that? Is it just
to YouTube? Yeah.
Okay.
Unlisted link on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, so just so you know, and everybody else, that is definitely not best practice. What I would recommend is putting that video, then embed it onto another landing page. So create another landing page that's specific to that, because what you want to do is maximize any opportunity you have to sell and to deliver more value to them and create a call to action. And so you're losing an opportunity there because they're just going to YouTube, they're going to watch that. And then what's even potentially worse is they're going to get lost on YouTube, right? They're going to be watching all sorts of crazy cat videos or whatever the case might be. And so what we recommend is to put it onto another page that has then what you want them to do next. And so what are you trying to get them to do? You're trying to get them to sign up. So give them, again, some compelling reasons or benefits to sign up for your program, for your training, how it's going to change their life, and then have it easy for them to make that choice right then and there. And so you got your video, you've got some sort of explanation, and you got the call to action. So again, good value, don't lose that opportunity. Another thing, because you're using YouTube, and I mentioned you can embed it onto the landing page, we don't recommend using YouTube to embed onto the landing pages. And the reason for that, again, is that YouTube has these recommended videos that they'll throw up after they've watched your video within that YouTube embedded video player. And so if they click, they can keep going down that rabbit hole of crazy cat videos, and they get distracted from doing what you want them to do, which is the call to action. You want them to sign up. And so you don't want to lose them. And YouTube is in the business of getting as much play time as possible. And so their algorithms are all designed to make sure that it's queuing up the next video that I, Lance, am going to love to watch. So I'll just keep on watching it within that player. And the challenge too is that sometimes they'll also, if they're watching a workout video, as an example, some of the recommended videos could be other workout videos from your competition. And so now you're all of a sudden put your prospect in front of your competition, and you don't want to do that. So that's just a quick tip for everybody when you're dealing with video and landing pages and so on. Okay, so you nurture them through this sequence. They get to the fourth one. And the fourth one is where in the email you're really encouraging them to participate in the program, I presume.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and so do you send them then to a landing page at that one, or what, or is it just to the typical sales page that you've the regular one on your website?
They get sent to a landing page which goes into my calendar that says book a time that works for you in a call.
Okay.
After they've booked a time, it takes them to another landing page to fill out some questions for me. So then it says, so I can be better prepared for our meeting, please fill out these questions. And then they get that one and then it's done.
Excellent. So, and those questions would be kind of qualifiers a little bit too, right? And so you can identify what their needs might be and if it's going to be a good fit prior to even having that call to a certain degree.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And so it's a free consultation. Everybody loves those. How long do you spend with them on that call?
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay. Excellent. And so you're walking through what ailments, what are their goals, what has stopped them from working out in the past, or all those kind of things, right? So you can identify.
Yeah, it's kind of like taking a little history. So finding out their vision first of their goals, finding out what holds them back from not taking those, how committed they are to making the change today, but then also asking, well, what would happen if you didn't make the change today? Because, sometimes we do hesitate. So it's also getting deep into that, because sometimes if we don't make that change, things can get worse.
Yeah. So again, what Karla's doing is she's really touching on the benefit, right? So it's not the features. So the features are, you're going to get all this great content delivered to your inbox, and you're going to, have some superior workouts, and it's going to be healthy, and there's safe, and whatever the case it might be, very convenient and so on. So those are all the features. The benefit though is that you're going to be able to accomplish this. I'm going to be there to work with you on this, right? I'm going to hold you accountable, and so therefore you're not going to fail. So there's a lot of those things that you'd be talking about, I presume. And so that's the key at that stage. And so after you finish the call, what are you asking them to do? Or what do you do?
Sign up.
Okay.
Yeah. So the call at the end is all about signing up.
Okay. And so you're not doing it live with them, signing up with them. And so you're hoping that they get off the call and then they go to the website and sign up. Is that it?
No, so it's on the call. So and they have a choice when they book the call to either have it as a live Zoom or a phone call. If they say yes on the phone call, so that whole consultation is to say yes, to have a yes or no decision at the end. So if the decision is yes, then I take their email address, make sure to confirm their email address, their phone number, and then I send them a DocuSign document of the contract and the details, the invoice that they get. And then once that's all paid, it's just, again, it's a funnel. So once that's all clicked on and paid and sent back, they go into the now active member funnel, and then they start getting all of their information.
Awesome. That's fantastic. I love that you're using DocuSign and getting it all done right there on the call, essentially. So that's really good, because a lot of times after a call, that free consultation, then it's like, okay, so when you're ready to make a decision, you know where the link is. You don't want to do that. So, So if they don't sign up on that call, what happens?
It's a conversation based to find out. And sometimes they just might need a little bit more. So they automatically just go into my continuation nurturing. So which is, I call my newsletter list, and I email my newsletter list twice a month. They always get free content from me. I invite people to a private but public Facebook page. So it's not my clients, but it's a private for those who are committed to making a change, but maybe might not be that 100% ready to purchase. And every day I post a question, or I do live Q&As in there. So then it's that more engagement of nurturing them, because they just might not be ready. And when you are online, you don't really get to know that person as much. So it's another way to continue. So it's just, they continue to be nurtured.
Yeah. Well, again, fantastic. You're delivering great value, obviously around content that they would find useful, because they're in the market for, working out. And so if you're dripping them some more tips and you're dripping them some more free lessons and so on, they're just going to naturally think of you when they're ready to pull that trigger, as opposed to somebody else, because you've been delivering it. You've been kind of almost holding their hand virtually along that that buyer's journey. So very good. Do you ever then encourage them to reconnect for another follow-up consultation or anything like that?
Yeah. So if they're going, is this for if they've said no or yes? I
Yeah,
guess
if
there's
they've
two.
said no, yeah.
If they said no, yeah, because in the nurturing emails of the newsletter, 2 or 3 times a month, there's always a call to action. Some of them might just be, hey, email me and tell me what you thought of this. So it could be a softer call to action of what you thought of this email. But then there'll be another one that'll be a direct, okay, let's book a call. If this sounds like you in this, book a call. We need to talk. So again, there's always that link to book that call, and we just rehab that call again.
Okay, sounds good. Now, does everybody get the same newsletters, or do you segment your prospects into different kind of buckets of people needs?
No, everybody gets the same newsletters. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So taking a kind of newsletter 2.2 or when it comes to nurturing 2.2, what you could consider doing, depending on the type of software that you've got for your lead nurturing, is to start to segment those customers into different buckets of needs. And so, or personality types or profile types. So you could, an easy one would be to segment people by gender potentially, but that's not necessarily useful in this case. Maybe, I'm not sure, but it could be on level of need as well. So it could be people who need much more of an advanced workout and are looking for something that is going to really challenge them, or there's the people who are maybe, they have had a weight problem or something, and so they're just needing to gradually start out so that their body can handle it, right? And so in those cases, you might have two different streams. So you're doing your consultation, you're identifying what stream you want to put them into, and then you just categorize them as such. And then you would be sending out a newsletter that maybe has very similar content in both of them. So you're repurposing as much content as you can, but there might be, for instance, if that workout that you're going to give them later on as another free workout, for the advanced people, you're going to be doing much more advanced kind of training. So they don't feel like, okay, this isn't really for me because it's all seems pretty basic. And the same thing for the people who need the basic, you don't want to be intimidating them. And so you keep it really easy and you're talking to them more specifically about their need. And so it's the personalization, which is really, again, important when you're talking about what benefit is it that they're going to get out of it and speaking to their specific needs. The more they can relate to what you're selling them, the better the chances that they're going to convert. And so you're going to see a bump in conversions if you have that ability to personalize that a bit more. So just a tip, if you have the ability. It takes more time because you're not necessarily doubling up the effort, but you're definitely going to be increasing the amount of time that you spend, for instance, creating 2 different free trainings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms, once they're signed up then, and you've got them, you're dripping out the information, the courses and so on, are you selling them anything else, or is that the end of it? You just are hoping that they're going to stay on for months and months and years and years?
No, so I don't necessarily always sell. Sometimes I sell product. So I've had like shirts and pants made and skipping ropes, so products. But the other thing is, being in health and wellness, I'm a big believer on nutrition and having the right multivitamin. And so I do sell supplements, a pharmaceutical grade supplement. So we talk about that and we get them on something that's going to help them because then they're going to see bigger gains.
Okay, sounds really good. And so then once you've got that customer, you can start then to layer in more things that you're marketing to them, increase that lifetime value of each customer, which is really important because, as we know, it's easier to sell more to an existing customer than it is to get a new customer. So the cost per new customer acquisition is usually quite a bit higher than what it is to sell somebody on another service or product or whatever, complementing what it is that you're already selling them. So another thing that you'd mentioned to me a while back is summits. So you're talking about using a summit as a lead generation tactic instead of, say, one of these ads. So walk us through what you've got going on there.
So I have a 15-day online wellness retreat summit. And so it's 15 speakers each day. The videos are about 20 minutes long. So again, we've pre-recorded the videos. We do have it actually going to the website, so not to YouTube, since again, people get lost on YouTube. And so every day they'll get an email. And that speaker that I'm speaking with, then I usually kind of give a little detail of the tips that I felt I took away from the conversation from that speaker. So they're kind of already going to get a heads up that, hey, spoke with Lance today. He talked about really great things with lead magnets and nurturing. And so kind of give that little, again, those benefits that people want to know, do I really want to watch this 20-minute video? And then there's always a free giveaway. So every speaker has one of their free giveaways and free downloads for what they've spoken about.
Awesome. Okay. And so those are delivered then. You sign up for the summit and you're getting those in your email inbox then
Correct. Yeah.
once a day?
Yeah.
Okay, for 15 days. And so great value, you got the guest speakers. And so what I love about this is that you're probably able to leverage then the network and the exposure, the expertise that these guest speakers have. And so you're multiplying your reach then potentially and introducing your brand to other people who are familiar with whoever that guest speaker's brand is.
Absolutely. And we all complement each other. So the biggest thing is being part of it and being a speaker. You're required to send out a social media blast and email to your email list and newsletter people. And if you want to create an ad, then that's their choice, but it's just expected at least a social media post and a newsletter post. So they go out. Yeah.
Awesome. And so when, just for everybody listening, when you're thinking about doing a summit, you can do a paid summit and you can also do a free summit. In this case, yours is free, I believe, right, Karla?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so, again, great lead generation is going to be good because they have to come in, they register then to participate in this or to receive the information. And so they're going to have to exchange their email address for that, which allows you then to market to them in the future. And one of the things on the paid one, though, is the amount of value that you're giving in these summits can be quite dramatic. And so don't ever shy away from having a paid summit, even though you know that you're getting the benefit of the lead generation. It does actually increase sometimes the engagement level and the perception of what the value is too. So two different strategies potentially there. I'm not saying that Karla should have been doing a paid one or not. It really depends on the approach. But if you wanted to do a paid one and you're using some really great speakers, then and you need to cover some of the costs, don't shy away from it because people attend these seminars and workshops and stuff and pay for them every day. And so there is value here. So don't necessarily always feel that you have to discount it just because you're using it from a lead gen standpoint. So the other thing that I'm just curious about is on the social media side of things. How are you talking about, like, you do this one-on-one interview and you know that that's going to get sent out to everybody on Tuesday. So do you do anything on social media to prime them on with that recording or to nuggets of the recording or anything like that?
For the online summit, for example?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a post going out every day of who, on the online health summit today, we've got Lance and Karla, again, those little benefits. If you want to sign up, then again, they get the registration page. So not the link to the interview, but the registration page to put in their email information to then therefore get the link.
Okay. And so those would be just static. They're not video or anything like that.
Yeah, just static, just a picture of the interview. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I love to do is repurpose video as much as possible. So you're creating, again, great content with that interview that you're doing with that expert. And so what I would do is, because you're recording these all in advance, is I would then cut out little segments of the video. So it'd be like some really good points that are being made or a key, knowledge nugget there that people are going to find very valuable and interesting. And I would just cut that little piece out and I would sprinkle that out into social media, driving traffic back to the registration page to watch more, to participate in this, to get into the program. And so it just is a way of repurposing the time and effort that you already put into to create that bigger, longer piece, but you're giving them people these little bite-sized samples of it essentially. And so that's a great way to repurpose it. If you didn't have the time or you didn't know how to make those quick edits on video, because sometimes that can be a challenge for some people, just using screenshots with a quote on that screenshot, and that's your visual. and then you have a little bit more information or the expanded quote or nugget of information in the body of the post. And so you're going to be able to, again, enhance the value that you're providing all the people who are following you, your tribe already, which will hopefully be shared by other people. And you're going to, again, get a greater exposure then and more traffic back to those landing pages to convert more people into your summit. A question for you on the summit: is it evergreen, or is it just we run it for these 15 days?
Right now it is being ran for just these 15 days. If all goes well, then I will reuse it again to repurpose in probably a couple months time, 3 to 4 times, but it's not going to be, not at this time, evergreen, no.
Yeah. Okay. And so in that case, being that it's not evergreen, and just so the people who are listening, what evergreen means is that it's just always kind of on. So it's just, think of it as a recording in which you can give people access to. In this case, when these kind of summit multi-day activities like this, one strategy is to, anytime somebody signs up, they get put at the beginning. So they're always starting the cycle of emails at number 1 through number 15. And so that works really good. So in this case, being that it's happening, and so if I'm seeing a post that you're making on social media on day 5 of the summit, then what you want to do is you want to explain, if you were using some of those little samples, is you'd want to then explain that, hey, if you sign up now, you'll also get access to day 1 through 4, or all of the previous ones as well. You'll get access to those recordings so that you can get the full value of this, and then you'll be able to participate and have all of the future ones that are coming out and have them delivered right to your inbox. So that's a nice way of doing it. Is that how you're doing this, and to get people in like midway through the 15 days?
Yeah.
Same idea. Okay. Fantastic. And so in terms of any other types of marketing that you're doing right now to try to generate leads, is there anything else that we should talk about? I know I kept you for quite a while, so we're coming to the end of our time.
You know, the other thing is just explaining to people who I am. So I have a signature webinar that I do,
Okay.
And it's usually a 45-minute webinar. So pre-recorded, not pre-recorded, sorry, registration based off Zoom. And so people have to register to listen to the webinar, and I give them my 5 key tips to reclaiming their life and taking control of their body. And then from that, again, it gets them a lot more detail into the programming. And then at the end, to book a call, drives them to book a call.
Excellent. And so you do these webinars, these Zoom webinars, are they live, or are they?
Yep, they're live, and they're monthly.
Okay. So every month you do it at the same time, kind of thing. And so how do you market it then? Is it through ads on Facebook, Instagram, that kind of thing, or?
Yeah, and it's ads. Sometimes it's the nurture emails from my newsletter. Like, I just happen to see, like, it might be time to come up. You know, long weekends, like we just had an Easter long weekend, and people always feel frumpy after that. Yeah. So, you know, doing a webinar after that about, hey, you got the Easter bunny belly. Let's talk about the 5 key ways to get rid of that. And so, yeah, so it just could be a Facebook ad. It could be an email. It could be just a post.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. And so those ones work really, really good in terms of providing some deeper dive information and extra value. And so I love the fact that you've got those happening on a regular basis, especially on the nurture, like getting those people who you might have had a consultation with them and they've been receiving a few things from you for the last few weeks, and it's all value, but they might just need that little extra nudge or a little bit more information or whatever. This is just one more great value piece that you can give them. And if they don't even take part in it, what they're seeing though in their inbox is you're delivering value all the time. And that's what I absolutely love about it. So it's going to work good from a lead generation standpoint. Again, webinars, you have to register in order to get to see it. And so you can use those for that purpose. And then if you ever wanted to just put them on evergreen and you'd just be running the same webinar over and over and over again, a great software for that is Webinar Jam. And so you can set it to so that everything looks and feels as if it's a live one, but people actually are watching a recording. But you can have it mimic everything in terms of the questions popping up and everything else, so it looks like it's actually a live episode. So a little tip for people who want to do that as well. Well, this has been fantastic, Karla. I really appreciate you sharing what you've been doing. I think that you've got a great business. You're doing some incredible things. I love the lead generation efforts that you've got. And with a little bit of tweaking on the lead nurturing, I'm sure you'd be able to increase your conversions even more than what you're already experiencing. But it's essentially unlimited. And this is what I love about taking your business online, is now you've multiplied yourself into, you know, millions of little pieces essentially, where you can help so many more people. And when that is the purpose of our job, of our businesses, usually we started these things to help people. And so and it just goes to what we're doing here today. So this recording we're doing so that everybody else can watch it and hopefully benefit from it, learn a few things that you're doing, a few tips and tricks that I've provided as well, and everybody will have a much more successful business at the end of the day. So thank you very much, Karla.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you everybody for tuning in. I'm just going to share my screen one more time here so that you guys can see where you can access more of the, there we go, more of the episodes that we've put together for Amplify Your Business. So just head over to amplimedia.com/amplify, and you'll be able to see a catalog of all the previous episodes, and in there you'll actually see an example of what we're doing from a lead magnet standpoint as well. So head over there, take a read and a watch, and I hopefully will see you live on another episode soon. Take care, everybody. Okay, I'm